Hey guys, breaking down Garry Tonon versus Yuri Simoes at EBI. Yuri is going to snap down Gary's neck and start establishing a headlock or guillotine control. And at this point, because Gary's posture is being broken, he is going to perform a peek out, which he usually does so well. So he drops his hips so that he can reestablish his posture, and he's pulling at the elbow of Yuri downwards. So with the force that Yuri was driving himself, Gary's continuing that momentum. As Yuri falls down, he performs a Granby to make sure that his back isn't at risk of being taken. Here Yuri manages to invert through, control the lever, and get back up to a standing position. Right here, excellent move from Garry. As he's getting snapped down again, he extends his right leg out here to block Yuri's left leg. This is taking away Yuri's ability to post, and Yuri ends up dumping to the side. Because he's risking giving up bottom position, he frames with his right arm so that he can perform a technical stand-up and once again get back to a standing position. From this passing position, Yuri is going to clasp his hands together to immobilize Gary's hips while he kicks his legs outwards outside the reach of Gary's legs. Now, because Yuri is creating so much pressure on Gary's lower body, Garry is able to sit up into base with his left elbow, but he's not going to be able to generate enough force to oppose the force vector that Yuri's going to have by driving forward with his entire body. So Yuri's going to be successful in flattening out Garry, but Gary's going to move into side control defense immediately. Now, Garry wraps around the right leg of Yuri, and he's going to look to start turning onto his right shoulder. The problem is as he's doing this, Yuri is counteracting this by posting with his right arm. So he's opposing that force vector. So rather than holding that control and possibly getting dumped over, he's able to create mobility and turn into the crucifix. So one, he's got his legs hooked around Gary's left arm, and two, he's got his arms controlling Gary's right arm. So he's got rotational control to both directions. From here, Garry is looking to get his shoulder blades down to the mat to take away that back control and begin extracting his arm. Yuri recognizes this, so he brings his left arm in front so that he's able to block Gary's legs and negate any chance that Garry has of reestablishing a guard. Here, while defending side control, Garry is going to extend his left arm into Yuri's biceps. So right now his left arm is a frame accessing Yuri's left arm as a lever, and Gary's also framing with his right arm blocking the hip. This is going to create space so he's able to bring his right leg in. Yuri's going to begin immediately pressure passing. He's going to drop his left shoulder into Gary's right leg to turn Garry to his left side. He's accessing the leg as a lever. As Garry performs a guard retention movement, Yuri's going to redirect and bring his shoulder to the inside into an over-under pass. He's going to kick his left leg up and outside the reach of Garry twice here. This first time's not going to quite do it. Completes it right here to seal the pass, constantly shutting down Gary's hips, brings his arm over top just to constantly immobilize. Garry is super comfortable in this position and is just working on making sure that Yuri doesn't have a strong crossface. So from here we can see how Garry is actually blocking the crossface here by having his left arm down by the elbow, so he's accessing lever, as well as having the forearm into the neck of Yuri and controlling the shoulder, so he's managing the range, keeping himself in strong alignment so he's not vulnerable. From here, trying a similar escape that he did before, but Yuri swims the arm out. Yuri constantly creating a ton of pressure on the hips. Here, as he's trying to move out and around, Garry is able to extend and catch the inside of his leg. Yuri chooses to come over top and shuts down the hips so that he can move around to the other side. Now his right leg is going to get behind Gary's left leg, pinning it like a leg drag pass, so he's able to move unobstructed around to the other side of Gary's hip. Here he's looking to work on a seatbelt or threaten an arm triangle. Garry is hand fighting to make sure that that forearm of Yuri's does not make it deep to his neck. Now, Garry is keeping tight knee-elbow connection, so Yuri's unable to establish the right hook, so he chooses to cross his legs, where the left leg already has a hook in on the hip, and now he's able to create a good bite on Gary's hips, which once again immobilizes Garry, as well as prevents Yuri from being able to be bucked off. From here, Garry rolls. He's established a grip on the wrist of Yuri, and he's framing it down. As he starts to drive his shoulder blades to the mat, And this takes away back control, but Yuri's going to body lock once again to try and shut down the mobility of Garry's hips. Only we can see that Yuri is actually grabbing a little too high up on the ribs. Garry's hips are up high, and he's able to now rock his hips down low, and with that momentum, generate base up onto his left hand while framing out with his right elbow. And so while managing the distance, performs a technical stand-up. Yuri is absolutely relentless with that body lock pressure passing, stays tight to Garry, and is able to pressure him down once again. From here, exact same style of pass. Here he's able to create a ton of mobility and range with his hips here, almost starting to turn his back towards Garry, kicking his left leg once again out of reach of Garry's left leg himself to complete the pass and shut down the hips to start working his way up.